All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I had a request from the member section to check this video out. Actually, I might have had multiple requests at this point. This title is LeBron James I Promise School Failing? And this is from a channel called, I don't know how to say it, so I'm just gonna say KIPKAME 11. I haven't heard of this channel, 51,000 subscribers, so I think I'm the one who's living under a rock. Anyways, I'm gonna link the original video down below in the description like I always do. You guys, I thought this might be interesting, but I've never really talked about the I Promise School because I've heard such fluctuating rumors about it. Like, some people say it's the greatest thing, you know, yada yada, and then other people say no one is passing. Like, it's like abysmal what's going on academics wise, and I really don't know what it is. The only other thing that I've heard through other people, I've never done my own research, is that basically it was the taxpayers' money that had to pay for the school, but LeBron got to like take the credit, if you know what I mean. So it basically it's sitting very sourly with the citizens of the city. So anyways, you guys, that's all the things that I've heard of, but all that stuff I just said, I don't know. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to watch this video. That way I can walk away from this understanding what this school really is and what's really going on at the school. So anyways, you guys, like I said, the original video is going to be linked in the description. You also see a list of channel members. Shout out channel members. I appreciate you all. Guys, like the video. It helps out a ton. Without further ado, let's check this out.
Almost exactly 7 years ago, LeBron James stood at this exact spot and opened his I Promise School. Arguably the greatest accomplishment in his entire career. He was lauded as a philanthropist, visionary, and a private citizen who stood up to do what the government...
Hold on, I actually want to look at that. Hold on. Free tuition, free uniforms, free bicycle and helmet, free transportation within 2 miles, okay. Free breakfast, lunch, snacks, food pantry for families, GEDs and job placement services for parents, guaranteed tuition to the University of Akron for every student who graduates. Guaranteed tuition? Oh, man. I mean, I was looking at this stuff and going, where's the money coming from? All this, all this, all this. But really, where's the money coming from for this is what I'm wondering. I mean, this all sounds great, but yeah, we got to know who's funding this.
And a private citizen who stood up to do what the government wouldn't. It was universally celebrated as a success. But since then...
So for 3 years, not one child passed the state test in math, not one.
Principal of the LeBron James...
I want to look at that too. Sorry, you guys. Okay. Are these grades? Are these grades? Label the chart, y'all. Okay. I assume these are grades. So 1% of 7th graders passed. Remote learning 2021. What the hell is this chart? Anyways, 0%, 0%. What is this?
Child passed the state test in math, not one.
Principal of the LeBron James I Promise School in Akron has submitted her resignation following an allegation that she slapped an 11-year-old student.
A quote, death note was found on the school grounds, and that note found sometime last week had a list of names of teachers and students who work and attend the school.
The amount...
Okay, to be fair, that's going on in schools everywhere. It's a terrible time for kids' schools. For everybody, all parties involved, for the adults and for the kids.
Of tears that I saw from teachers that work there.
What's up, y'all? I'm Kip Comp.
Off the bat, I'm getting like Dangerous Minds vibes, if you've ever seen it. Mackay Fife.
I'm 11, and I'm here in Akron, Ohio to find out why is LeBron James's I Promise School failing? Well, to begin, we have to go back to 2004. Fresh out of Akron, Ohio, LeBron James let all the naysayers know that he was the truth. After a successful Rookie of the Year campaign and an $87 million Nike deal, LeBron was a far cry away from where he was even just a year ago.
Yeah,
still possessing a
for
strong
sure.
allegiance to Akron, LeBron founded the LeBron James Family Foundation as a 19-year-old, as a way to help out struggling children like him when he was growing up. As his career accolades and profile grew, so did his organization. In 2005, LeBron hosted his first annual bike-a-thon, with kids from Akron riding along with him, joined by NBA friends Carmelo Anthony and Dwayne Wade.
Of course,
he
they were always there for
continued to
him.
provide steadily for his community and took it up a notch in 2011, where he
Can we just say it straight? Melo and D Wade have been great friends to LeBron.
the I Promise initiative, a program that gave resources to underprivileged children in Akron in order to help them succeed with school. This would go from bikes to computers to even annual trips at amusement parks.
I love being in this program. It's life-changing.
After a few years, this initiative expanded to the I Promise School as a way for kids who are at risk of flunking out and being claimed by Akron's tough environments, like LeBron almost famously was, to express themselves and be supported. It was a fantastic idea and the first of its kind. There have been schools opened by celebrities before, like Deion Sanders' Prime Prep Academy, Will Smith's New Village Academy, and Kanye's Donda Academy. All
I
with
didn't know about any of these.
some varying levels of success. LeBron's school, however, was different. It was a fully public school as opposed to private school or academy, fully integrated into the Akron public school system and operated as such. Only that
I mean, so far it's sounding really good. I am just curious where the funding is coming from. LeBron James takes Don on an executive tour. Okay.
it's got over 100 of LeBron's game-worn shoes inside and over $1 million a year in extra funding. This was history in the making. In a regular public school, LeBron James became the vice principal. But seriously, in America, there hasn't been a large-scale project like this. One of the reasons being, I'd be remiss not to mention, is that LeBron is, again, a private citizen attempting to revolutionize schooling for lower-income families and children. What he's doing is venturing into uncharted waters. Not only has he opened a school, he's opened up transitional housing down the block from the school for families and parents of students who might be experiencing homelessness.
Okay, I mean, again, that starts out as a wonderful thing. Yeah, very good.
50 families here who prior to this had struggles with finding housing. This initiative right here gives them a home. Less than 2 blocks away from the I Promise school. There's also the I Promise apartments.
Did he say less than 2 miles away?
Right here gives them a home. Less than 2 blocks away from the I Promise school.
Okay, so then they qualify for free transportation. Not that they even need it, more than likely. You know, those who can just walk 2 blocks. Everybody else, they're getting free transportation. Okay.
It's also the I Promise apartments, geared for longer-term stay. Then there's House 330, where parents of kids are employed by the facilities to give them work. I talked to some of the people there, and they had nothing but wonderful things to say about the foundation.
I was never accepted into LeBron Foundation. I don't think I would have known truly what to do in life.
There are schools out there that receive additional funding, but you're not gonna find them in America. You might find them in Japan.
This is a very nice school. What?
Or a private school. There's no place in America that's providing public school resources to a facility such as this, except for LeBron.
Okay.
So, what's the problem? Well, for starters, we have to address what exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, we're gonna get to the dark stuff, I'm sure now, but on paper, as it's all been presented, this looks like a dream come true. But we know about things that are too good to be true, so hopefully it's not too bad. Hey, guys, you know how I feel about LeBron. I'm not a fan of his. I would like this to be a positive thing, though. You know what I mean? Like, this is involving a lot of kids. It's involving a lot of parents that are working there, kids going there for an education. I would like this to be a happy story, but I have a feeling it's not going to be. So let's see what happens.
Exactly it was that made I Promise so special in the first place. Beyond the grand name and media attention, there were genuine benefits that looked to be promising for children coming from different backgrounds. The inaugural principal for the school, Brandy Davis, an Akron native and 18-year veteran of Akron Public Schools, put it plainly in national news circuits. We are going to be that groundbreaking school that will be a nationally recognized model for urban and public school excellence. Okay. We are letting people know it is about true wraparound support, true family integration, and true compassion.
Nice.
Wraparound support, like a hug. That's one of the core tenets of the I Promise school. It's the vibe that LeBron James and his, family foundation we're looking to cultivate. It's plastered everywhere around the school, and it's even the first thing you see on the website, and also when you pull up to the school. The I Promise School was looking to create an environment where kids at school felt like they were at home, and that their teachers were family. This was accomplished in a multitude of ways. On top of the taxpayer funding that I Promise got as a part of the Akron School District, something for some reason that drew ire in the local press, there's about $1.5 million extra that the LeBron James Family Foundation provides for the...
Sorry, that was not a... That was a keyboard mishap. Akron Public Schools paying majority of costs for LeBron's I Promise School. The public schools are paying the majority of the cost, aka it's coming through tax money anyways. Am I understanding this correctly? Because the public schools are funded with tax money, and if the cost of the LeBron Promise School is being paid off by the public schools, then are they just asking for extra tax money? And why wouldn't LeBron's school just ask? I'm curious. I gotta learn more.
There's about $1.5 million extra that the LeBron James Family Foundation provides for the I Promise School budget. Given its rather elaborate interiors and miscellaneous costs that came with new features, the foundation spent approximately $2 million in the school's inception. This extra spending goes for creating smaller class sizes for children, free bikes, hiring tutors for after-school programs, free breakfast, lunch, and afternoon snacks, as well as an on-site family resource center, which includes a food drive, GED education classes, and lawyer services for parents of the I Promise kids. Beyond that, there was a significantly longer school year from July to May, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., as well as 4 intervention specialists and an ESL teacher. All of this in Akron, home of one of the poorest school districts in the state.
I mean, it looks amazing. There's just a lot more I need to understand. Like, just visually right here, I would love to go to a school like this. This is great.
Then, of course, there are all the visits made by LeBron James, his shoes on the walls, and sometimes personalized messages and shout-outs from the king himself. To any kid, best school ever, right? The teachers thought so too.
Oh, I actually thought it was going to be amazing.
This is former I Promise School teacher Jessica Gerber,
a 12-year veteran of Akron Public Schools,
who started at the I Promise School in 2022. More on her later. The very first school year of the I Promise School started with much fanfare. I mean, after all, it's literally the LeBron school. Everyone and their mother wanted to know how it would turn out. So much so that LeBron's media company, Spring Hill Productions, commissioned a documentary on the first year of the I Promise School. You can find it on YouTube. I highly recommend it. It's an amazing watch. In the first few minutes, you can see there's a great amount of resources that truly do provide relief for families in serious need. It instilled hope in the family of those attending the school.
LeBron James
We're gonna help him and stuff, you know, with his problem, like with his reading, everything.
But now the issue, and the very big issue at that, is actually educating the kids.
Yeah,
the way that students from the I Promise School were selected was through a lottery consisting of second graders from the bottom 25% of achievement levels in Akron.
Yeah, a school like this, the main things I want to see, good academics, like the kids are actually learning, and also I want to see like low violence. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that would be successful. If there's not a lot of violence going on, not a lot of fighting, and yeah, grades are well. You know, at least well. I'm not expecting like off the charts grades right off the bat, but like at least well. Just be good, be decent.
Those classified as academically at risk. The lucky 120, or technically 240 because it was 3rd and 4th grade for the first year, would get placed into the I Promise School and receive nice perks like free uniforms and more serious ones like jobs for parents. All of these children came with baggage, and a lot of it. It tended to be the reason even that they were low achieving. They weren't able to focus on class because they were acting out. Oftentimes this was because they had unstable home lives, with families not knowing how to prioritize education because they hadn't been down the path themselves and were busy worrying about other things. Take Nate, for example, a kid who was showcased on LeBron's Instagram story, who began at a kindergarten reading level. If something got too frustrating or intense for him, he would get up and walk out of the classroom. His teachers would say that he was so behind, not because he wasn't able to learn, but because he wasn't spending enough time in class. The lady who we saw from before...
Okay, so something like that tells me there's something probably going on at home, and that's the only way he can get his peace or safety is to exit whatever room the tension is in. That's sad.
Was Nate's grandma, who lives with Nate's mom and her 7 kids. What happened to the dad?
And his friends set him up. They stabbed him, shot him, ran him over. They stabbed him with a stone.
Oh,
On top of that, Nate had experienced a SWAT raid in his apartment complex after his uncle had been caught selling drugs.
Great.
He says that he wasn't scared, but it's clear the experience impacted him.
Of course.
Police, put your hands up!
Nate is just one of such cases.
Jeez.
And in the classroom, one of 20. In another class, there was a little girl who felt so unsafe that she would lock herself into one of the very fresh and new lockers at the school.
Man.
After a few weeks with the kids, one teacher admitted,
you have the romantic thoughts, like, I'm gonna change the world. So when you get in and you have 20 kids who struggle with school and you have some kids who have behavior issues, you kind of be like, okay, well, this is a little harder than I thought.
Now, I'm not
gonna lie, it reminds me of when I got into behavior health. And I was serving the only severely mentally ill people, and they all had criminal backgrounds. I was in way over my head. And not only that, it was a caseload of 100 people that was thrown my way. I hate to admit it, but most people won't admit it. They'll pretend like they did something amazing. I made a positive impact to probably 5% of that 100 caseload. It was unbearable work, impossible work. You know, it's one of those things you can just take small little chips at and make improvements. You know, small little wins. But it's like a zombie apocalypse surrounding you. Like there's no light at the end of the tunnel kind of goal. It's so hard. It's really hard, and I respect the hell out of anybody who's doing it. But I also feel terrible for you because we need a lot more help in order to make a real change, a real positive impact. We need a lot more people helping and a lot less people who need help. So the people who need help, that's not going to change. So yeah, you can't have 100 people. That's when I realized this was, oh man, I'm in trouble. You know, how am I supposed to have a positive impact for 100 people like that? You know, and I was outpatient, so I had to go travel to each of them. Wild, man, wild.
All that happens for the documentary if you're looking to watch. But at the end of the day, it ends with phenomenal news that 92% of kids met or exceeded their expected state growth in both math and reading. Okay. And on average, the kids moved from the 1st percentile in English to the 9th percentile for 3rd grade and the 16th percentile for 4th grade. And in math, kids went from the 1st percentile of achievement levels to the 18th, and 4th graders went from the 2nd percentile to the 30th. In that first year, the rate of growth in the I Promise school was better than 99% of schools nationwide.
Okay.
This was a huge win for I Promise, and things were looking up.
Yeah, looks good.
But there are still issues. One, just because kids had met or exceeded their expected level of growth doesn't mean that they were on grade level at the end of the year. It just meant that they at least advanced one grade level in 1 year. Okay. There were some big success stories where some advanced further, but overall, many of the kids were still below grade level, advancing to the next grade. And beyond that, that is going to compound. If they're below the expected level, like what they should actually be at, but then they're moving to the next grade already, that effect is going to compound year after year. They're going to feel more and more behind, probably. Some more serious issues brewing.
Will it be handcuffed, yes or no?
Move me, bitch!
Summer, which included a 7-week summer camp for the kids, yet another perk came and went. Despite the behavioral issues and mountain of progress that was still left to be made, the sentiment regarding the school was still tentatively hopeful. There were revisions made to the initial plan of the school, one of the last ones being that they weren't going to add 1st and 2nd graders like
I Promise school will not add 1st and 2nd grades. Okay.
They initially intended to. But they moved on with the next cohort of 3rd graders, and the original 4th graders became the inaugural 5th grade class. And it seemed like the sky was the limit. Then, of course, the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Now see, this is where things got bad. For a lot of us in the US in regular home and school situations, the pandemic was an inconvenience, sure, and lowered work ethics overall. I was a senior in high school and I experienced the strongest dose of senioritis I think one can get, but I came out relatively unscathed. For those in younger grades, the results were much more dire. Over the last 3 decades before the pandemic, 8th graders nationwide have steadily been getting better at standardized math tests, but from 2019 to 2022, almost half of that growth in 30 years has been lost, setting 8th graders in math back literally 2 decades. Now, imagine the kids at the I Promise school. Kids like Nate with 6 other siblings, a mom that works nights, and a grandmother. He had to find a place to focus in all of that mess. Or some kids that may have their heat shut off, so they'd have to focus through the cold. A student at the University of Akron did a small study involving 10 teachers who taught at the I Promise school during the pandemic. The study found that all the teachers had significant issues getting the kids to follow instructions, and a large majority of them believed that their kids were performing worse than expected, while having overall negative behavior.
Hey, to be fair, I've noticed that the long-term effect of the pandemic is even a lot of adults forgot how to act in public. They basically, everybody is acting like they would in the privacy of their own home, out in public. And it's really disturbing to me. So if I see that effect with grown men, women, for kids, like to have an event like that happen at such a young age, I can't imagine them just reacclimating to school. I really can't. It's too much to ask.
There have been studies done about the disparities that were exacerbated in the pandemic between high-income and low-income families. And that was the same in the Akron School District, a lower-income district. They also suffered from what's known as learning loss during the pandemic. The amount of failing grades in math went up by 9%.
Okay.
And chronic absenteeism also went up drastically. Now, imagine kids in the bottom quartile of this district in a situation like this. The ones that were hard enough to keep in the classroom during regular school. There wasn't any way this was going to end well. And it was a nasty halt to the momentum that had been building up. The kids that needed food and support had to now rely on teachers and employees driving around Akron, delivering them lunches and face-to-face communication. One teacher knew the route to every single one of her students' houses, and to get to them all, which she did routinely, it would take 3 hours. A quote from her as she was helping out a family. And it really just dawned on me. School is not this family's main focus right now. They're literally surviving.
Yeah.
Like many did, I Promise got through the worst parts of the pandemic. It was hard, but they did it. But then things took a turn for the worse.
Also developing this evening.
Yeah, before we get into the next thing, I'm not going to judge harshly on what went down during the pandemic at this school, because as far as I'm concerned, it was not smooth sailing for any school across the country. It was a rough time, and I mean, it went for every school and it went for every business, every job, every situation.
For the worse.
Also developing this evening, the principal of the LeBron James I Promise school in Akron has admitted her resignation following an allegation that she slapped an 11-year-old student.
Brandy Davis, the veteran principal, Akron born and bred, assaulted a student shortly after pandemic restrictions on the
2021 September.
School had been lifted. The testimony she gave was that there was a situation in a bathroom and a kid had took a dump in the urinal. One of the kids told Miss Davis, who was rushing to the scene of the crime, using some pretty crass language. Miss Davis then said she went into auntie mode, treating the kid like her own nephew, and slapped him for using the
Yeah, you can't do that, man. You can't, not 2021. This ain't the 50s. And I mean, yeah, nobody likes somebody shitting at a urinal, but it's a prank. It's a prank. So you don't match a harmless, inconvenient, gross prank with a physical attack. No, yeah, you got to go. And you're the boss. You're in charge of the school. You're supposed to set the example. No.
The kid's lip was split and bloodied. She immediately and profusely apologized.
What?
And slapped him for using the S word. The kid's lip was split and bloodied.
Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's over.
She immediately and profusely apologized to the family, but the damage had been done. From there, it was kind of downhill. Miss Davis was one of the main faces behind the entire operation. She's still listed as the principal on the I Promise school website, but due to the incidents, she was immediately placed onto paid leave in September of 2021.
Why is she still the face of it? That happened 4 years ago. Okay. I don't like that at all. I would remove her from it. Like, that's it. Game over.
Davis then resigned in December of that year, and the school began a very turbulent period. While Davis was on paid leave, retired principal Charles Jones stepped in immediately to be the interim principal. Then after a month or so, principal of another APS school, Anthony Lane, took over for the rest of the school year. Going into the 2022-23 school year, things were looking bad. In just 1 year, the school had 3 principals.
Wow.
But they were able to secure a permanent principal.
Sounds like coaches in the Phoenix Suns lately. Sorry, I had to do something basketball for this video. I'm actually really interested in this video. I don't know about you guys so far. Yeah, it's not really about basketball, but this is actually very interesting to me.
University of Akron graduate and assistant principal from a nearby school district, Tawana Ham. She was a promising and eager prospect. But after 1 year, she was moved to another principal position in the district, and shortly after left Akron altogether. The district didn't give a reason, and when the local paper reached out to Ham for comment, she didn't respond. Remember Miss Gerber from before? She was at the I Promise school for the exact same amount of time that Miss Ham was. And well,
I'll tell you a story from the first time I walked in. The very first day I had shared a classroom with an intervention specialist, and I walked in and he was like, the kid was 7th or 8th grader, and he was just chewing out the teacher, and she's a young thing. And I was like, don't speak to her like that. And if you don't talk to me, I don't know who you think you are. You don't come in here and talk to me. Walks out, slams the door. I mean, my first 30 seconds in the classroom.
Ouch.
wow.
And that kind of sums up how the kids act. They call it a walk and talk, and anytime they don't want to be in class, they throw a fit and they walk out of the classroom. I had an altercation with a very large 6th grade student who was trying to fight another student, and I was trying to break it up, and then he, turned on me like, get out of my face. I don't even want to repeat what he said to me. And there was at the front door of Akron, or at I Promise is an Akron cop. And I looked at him and I was like, are you going to do anything? And he just slowly unfolds himself. He goes, they don't listen to me either. That's the response.
Wow.
I mean, I hate to be a pessimist, but I didn't say anything. But the second I saw in the beginning of this video where their motto is like, we are family, that was a huge red flag for me, because this is supposed to be structured in a way where there is clear authority, and then there are students, those who are those who are enforcing the rules, and then those who are falling in line to the rules. These are children, you know what I mean? And I was a little worried that the children were going to be able to get away with anything they wanted to, because it's family, it's okay. It's not a school structure. There's no authority here. So law enforcement isn't authority. Teachers are not authority. Your principal's not authority. Who's really watching these kids then? You know what I mean? Like, we can't just let the kids run rampant. That's not safe. And I don't know, like, if I was a parent, I wouldn't feel my child is safe if there was no real authority, like, watching over them, But yeah, that was the first thing I thought of was, this might come back to bite them. It sounds great. Yeah, we're all equal here. There's no authority. Great. But in a child situation like this, children need guidance. They need authority, up until the point where they're not kids no more.
Okay.
And it was after that incident, I called my boss and I said, if you don't get me out of this school, I will quit right now.
Her experience speaks for itself.
Wait, I want to hear that again.
That's the response.
Wow. Okay.
And it was after that incident, I called my boss and I said, if you don't get me out of this school, I will quit right now.
Her experience speaks for itself. A lot of these problems were evident and documented in the first year of the school, but progress was still ultimately made. But when the school went into the pandemic and then lost its founding principal, the visions that the founding team came up with weren't able to be executed properly. New students came in with the same problems as the old students, and it got to the point where it seemed that the culture was dictated more by the students than by the teachers, at least according to Ms. Gerber.
The teachers tried to get kids to do things. I mean, I will be like, it's not the staff. Like, there's no support there at all. There's no accountability. I mean, we've got 7th graders beating up 3rd graders on the school bus. We have kids. I mean, when I say fights daily, multiple, constantly. Fights.
Damn.
The amount of tears that I saw from teachers that work there, everyone's put in for transfers. Like, I knew at least 5 teachers who put in for transfers because they just don't want to be there.
The teachers became overstressed and overworked, a lot of which had to do with another critical component, IEPs. If you're not familiar, it's a document, IEP standing for Individualized Education Program, in the American K-12 system, assigned to children that have a learning disability and require extra attention in the classroom. These disabilities range anywhere from dyslexia to speech impairments to autism. And these kids are often in regular classes with other students with just a bit more attention given to them from the teachers. Nationally, there are about 15% of these types of students. In the Akron Public School District, there's about 17%. As of 2022, the I Promise school had 30% that required an IEP.
Okay. So in other words, they need double the staff of another school in Akron. I'm sorry, my friend, that is a terrible pause.
Double the national rate and damn near double the districts. In some classrooms, that number was as high as 45%.
Jeez.
And one of the grade levels had 50% of children with some sort of learning
I take it back. They might need triple the staff. This is bad. This is bad. Yeah. They need triple the average staff then to compensate for this. If the students actually learning and getting enough attention one-on-one time to learn is a priority, they need triple the staff. That's what I would put that 1.5 towards. I mean, summer vacations and all these things sound great. Having a display case for LeBron James's shoes and a mural, all that stuff sounds pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, we need more staff. So like that's it. We gotta put that 1.5 million to at least double the staff. We need to triple it. But let's start with doubling it. If I'm involved in this at the top, that's my first priority. These students, okay? They need the right attention. Forget the bonus stuff.
Damn near illegal in Ohio, and straight up illegal in Akron. It got so bad that the Akron Public School District placed a limit on kids who had gotten an IEP to I Promise, capping them at 10%. It was this environment that made I Promise so difficult for teachers.
But according to Ms. Gerber, that wasn't the only issue.
Because what you see on social media and what you see, like, LeBron, everything is given, nothing is earned. Or, everything is earned, nothing is given.
Okay, I love this lady. I'm so sorry. I did not expect that. Everything is given, nothing is earned. LeBron James. Yep. Oh man. Okay. All right. Gotta get serious again. Woo. Let me just rewind that a little bit.
According to Ms. Gerber, that wasn't the only issue.
Because what you see on social media and what you see, like, LeBron, everything is given, nothing is earned. Or, everything is earned, nothing is given. It's actually the opposite. Everything is given, nothing
there
is given.
It is.
I Promise isn't any different than the kids that we're getting in Akron Public Schools. They're just getting selected. Half their siblings are with us. Do you see what I mean? Like, everyone's got trauma. I don't know. Like, it's just a different environment. I've never been in an environment where there's no accountability like that.
And this was reflected in the report given 2 years ago after the 2023 school year. Keith Lichty, the liaison between the I Promise School and APS, compiled a report to present to the board concerning the I Promise students and their scores. The first report since the first year in 2019. But the news wasn't so good this time.
3 years, not one child passed the state test in math, not one.
What this board member was referring to was this chart, one of a series in Keith's presentation that told a story quite opposite from the end of the first year, from a time of promise and opportunity to one of stagnation and even failure. After the pandemic, kids from the original 3rd grade class, with kids like Nate, not a single child passed a grade level state exam in math for 3 straight years. This is even more damning when considering their testing protocols.
It takes the I Promise kids 5 weeks to finish a test. 5 minutes, I'm not kidding, and they want a break. I need a break. And they're allowed to have one. They get up and they walk out of the classroom. They need a break.
Dang.
Not only were the kids not doing well, they ended up, by the 8th grade, growing less by kids who weren't selected to go to the I Promise school.
Man, if I asked to go to the bathroom every day in grade school, eventually I get told no. You know what I mean? And that's like I'm taking the pass. I'm going to pee real quick, and then I'm back within like 2 minutes. After a while, teachers would be like, "Nope, you're asking every day. Don't." I can't imagine being in the middle of a test, and I probably have a cell phone in my pocket because it's 2023 or 2024, whatever this is. I'm in the middle of a test, and I can go and walk away with my phone and go look stuff up, look up answers, and then come back. I can't imagine that. Just walk away every 3 to 5 minutes. That's wild. You got to be able to say no sometimes, right?
Went to other Akron schools despite being eligible for I Promise. Again, by the time these kids left 8th grade, the kids who were eligible for the I Promise school in Akron and didn't end up going were growing more than the I Promise kids were. In math, 42% of kids were making a year's worth of progress in school compared to just 27% of I Promise's kids in the 8th grade. And in 7th and 8th grade,
in English,
I Promise kids were still learning less than kids in other Akron schools. And when we're talking about this year's worth of progress, by the way, this is again meaning if all of the 8th graders came into school with a 5th grade math level, then only 20% of them in I Promise would end up with a 6th grade math level by the end of the year. The APS board president at the time, Derek Hall, made this point.
Those numbers could be 100% growth, grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But if they came to us 2 years behind, they'd leave us 2 years behind.
Oh, wow.
If they're not exceeding 100%, then they're not actually catching up.
Still though, We do have to keep in mind that the I Promise School is quite literally the first of its kind. LeBron James and his foundation were the first to help open up a public school. And with unplanned obstacles like a global pandemic and a principal assaulting a student, there's not that much that could have been done about it.
I gotta say, I'm kind of sad about the pandemic timing, because I wonder, like, if they had more positive momentum going in for a few more years before any big major challenge like that happened, like a real foundation for what the school is and how they're going to operate, I wonder if they would have had a better chance of success. But considering the reality of it, it seems like by the time they started getting their foot down, you know, and started to get the roots down, everything went to hell. And then, you know, God knows what happened with all these kids during the pandemic before they got to reopen the school. Like, shit. The whole situation is just sad. This is a sad situation. And anybody who's laughing at this because it's LeBron James, you might want to check yourself. You might want to check your hate. This is about kids.
At the end of the day, it is still a high-class facility that's helping out underprivileged kids. And when I think about the kids that I met at House 330, multiple going into fields that wouldn't have been possible without LeBron's foundation, I have hope. Mrs. Gerber, with all of the issues that she took with the school, even conceded that it could work.
That the premise of what he wanted to do was a really good idea, and I think bringing in the upper grades ruined that. If they would have kept it with 3rd and 4th grade, they would have saw big things happen.
Since that report was made in 2023, the school has made some progress, led by Principal Stephanie Davis, a fully committed Akron native. Because of the bad test scores, the I Promise School was placed under state intervention in 2 categories: Black students and students with disabilities, where both groups were testing in the bottom 5th percentile of the state.
Damn.
In February of 2025, the school was able to exit out of that classification, which is of course progress, but there's much more work to be done. When the inaugural class graduates high school, it's very likely that it'll show that the kids would have done just as fine, if not better, if they had went to a regular Akron school. But then again, it's not quite fair to judge I Promise on its first class. Like an I Promise representative said,
we also, in essence, opened a middle school during the time of a pandemic, and a lot of the initial work was put into the development of what did the elementary school look like and how was it built. But I don't know if everybody came back to the table and did the same level of work, given that we were in the middle of a pandemic, to build out the middle school.
With a more stable leadership culture, more experience.
I mean, for those of you, I'll let it end. The video's almost over.
More tweaks, the stats will improve. Now, will it end up that the I Promise School will be a nationally recognized model for urban and public school excellence? Probably not. But will it change lives for students and their families? From what I saw in Akron, that seemed to be the case. School or no school.
Yeah.
The kids that I saw were empowered to see and pursue their dreams. So, again, is the I Promise School failing? You tell me.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Thankfully, we don't know yet. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember the pandemic so freaking clearly, unfortunately. It was a rough time, man. But the reason I bring it up is work ethic. Work ethic was, I've never seen it so bad as I did during the pandemic. It was really, really tough. And I heard it from everybody across the board in every industry. I sure as hell experienced it firsthand because I was in a situation where I had to carry the load in order to keep the ship afloat, essentially. And I never experienced a lack of any kind of dedication than I did during that time. People were not concentrating on work. They didn't care. Something happened, man. When everyone was home for too long and not going to work, not leaving their homes, something changed psychologically across the board. And I'm still kind of waiting for us to recover from that as a whole, that is. The irony was I was working harder than I ever had in my entire life during that period. So, yeah, I was more frustrated with everybody else's work ethic. But I bring that all up to say, we don't know what the school is really going to end up being because they literally started, and then right after their start, they had a little bit of positivity, a little bit of good momentum. Then everything shut down, and by the time it's reopening, we're in a period, at least in America, that I've never seen before as far as work ethic goes. Nobody wanted to show up. Nobody wanted to put in the effort, you know, and we're dealing with a situation here where It's a school filled with people that have special needs. A lot of people having special needs, needing extra attention, as opposed to less than usual. You know what I mean? So I see this as a perfect storm. As this was inevitably going to go terrible during the pandemic. Now, what am I hoping for? I'm hoping work ethic is going to get back to where it was, or at least somewhere close. In the meantime, I hope they reallocate that $1.5 million bonus and they put it towards having more staff. That way, it's obvious why you want more staff. For the kids, man, I feel bad for the kids. I know like the kids are acting up and all that stuff, but the thing is like they're acting up because they're getting away with it. You know what I mean? So I hope the philosophy changes at the school, where there is a clear ladder of basically of who's in charge. You know what I mean? Who gets to. I mean, there needs to be a clear separation between adults and children as far as, who's telling who what to do. If we got a situation where kids are telling adults what to do, we have a problem. That's a major problem. So I hope the mindset changes at the school. I hope they reallocate the funds. And I wish all kids well that went through the pandemic at school. Because I can't imagine what that would do, like psychologically, to me if that were to happen. So I feel for them, but at the same time, I wish them well. And there needs to be it needs to be clear to them who's in charge in whatever room they're in, whatever building they're in. When you're at school, who's in charge? Because you need to also be able to know, who do I ask for help, So who do I listen to? Just like at home, you need to know my parents are in charge, or my older brother or older sister, or whatever the case, my auntie is in charge. Things like that. Kids need this kind of structure, and it's looking like they don't have any of that structure at the school. So I want this to succeed, you guys. For me, this has nothing to do with a LeBron James thing. This is way bigger than just some basketball player I don't like. There's a bunch of students here that are relying on this to work. So I really do hope it works. And that's all I really have to say about it, everybody. So I'll see you all in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. And like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And most importantly, is to be water, my friends.